Hey y'all, it's your Ken, and I am giving y'all an introduction blog. So let's get into the video. So today I'll be informing y'all about a couple questions about club volleyball. These are just general questions that I found a lot of people ask going into club volleyball. So all these questions are my opinion. Now moving forward into my blogs, I'll be studying more factual things. I will be giving y'all others' opinions and things like that. But I want to start y'all off with my knowledge. Now I wanted this whole blog to be very organic. So I wanted it to be natural. I didn't want force things, or I didn't want, to go ask somebody that actually owns a club facility just, because they will be advocating for themselves. So I wanted to give you the real and let you know what it is and what it's not. The length of the season is from January to the end of May. The reason being is because majority of the time they do not want to conflict with school season. So usually school season for high schoolers is from August until about November. So you get that December break and then you move straight into club volleyball, depending on if your high school made it to stay or things like that. So the club season is pretty lengthy, but it goes by very fast because there is a lot of traveling, and we'll move into that later on in the questions. The cost depends on your club facility. So I know when I went to go try out for both of the clubs that I played for in my little club volleyball experience, I had an actual tryout fee, and then once you make the team, they keep that money for the tryout fee, and then you have to pay tuition, monthly tuition, or you can pay all of it. Tuition actually ranges from $8,000 to $10,000, but depending on your club, they usually, depending on what they actually need in their club facility, how much it costs to keep their club facility up and running, how many different other locations they have, the cost may go up or the cost may go down, just depending on how big the facility is or how small the facility is, how many members they have coming into the facility, if they have to run tournaments at their facility, and things of that nature. So I think my tuition was probably $1,500. So that does not include traveling tickets, plane tickets. That does not include hotel. That does not include, of course, dining out with your friends and family or your other teammates. So yeah, that does not include that. The tuition includes your dues that are going into the club to keep it up and running, keep the lights on, and things of that nature. It includes your apparel, so shoes, knee pads, jerseys, spandex, backpacks, all things like that. And it includes your membership with AAU USA Volleyball. So members on your team, I usually see different teams in club volleyball, they try to keep it from 11 to 12 members on each team. Now, depending on how big the club is, depending on how many, people come in for tryouts, how many people they cut, that all depends on members of the team, of course. So I know the very first club that I played with, it was a bigger club in Houston, and they had about 1,000 girls coming in to tryouts and things like that. So the second team I played for was a smaller club. So it was probably about 200, 400, maybe 200 through 400. I'll say that, maybe. So the very first club I played for, each age group, so they usually start off with traveling and things like that. The age group usually starts from 10 all the way up to 18, of course, because once you're 18, you're going off to college, so no more club volleyball for you. So usually, I know at the big club I played for, it was about 5 teams each age group. So you have your top team, your 2 top teams that usually travel to most of the tournaments that has most of the recruits coming out, things like that. Your other 2 teams, which do local, do some, out of town recruit, teams like that. And then your local team that stays local, does not travel out of state. So my very first year, I did the local team. I didn't want to travel out of state simply because why wasting that money? And I wanted to get a feel for volleyball because I was coming fresh off the track. So I would very much suggest, if you're just trying to, test the waters and see if you really enjoy club volleyball, stay on a local team. You're not going to be paying that much, of course. You're just going to be paying your fees. You're going to have to pay traveling, tickets, hotel, all of that thing, because you don't go out of town on a local team. Now, at my club facility, they offered that local team, so it just depends on, you know, where you go, who you play for, and things of that nature. So, yeah, it depends on how many people come in and come out. Like I said, the big club that I play for, we have 5 teams each level, and sometimes 6 teams each level. You have your 2 top, middle, and then bottom. And then at the smaller club that I play for here in Houston, it was only about 2 teams per age, 2 or 3 teams per age group. So that tells you a lot. So traveling, let's move into that. Traveling, like I said, traveling is not included in your tuition fees. So you have to come out of pocket and pay for your plane tickets, hotel, and all of those things. So usually most of the time when I travel, if it was like out of state, it would just be me and my mom. But if it was like up to Dallas or Austin, majority of the time it was me, my mom, my dad, and my brother. So traveling usually works with your schedule. So majority of the time, your head director of your club goes and looks at, okay, which tournaments we want to go to, which tournaments will give my girls exposure, things of that nature. Which tournaments do I think my team will be good in and compete very well and be able to, you know, compete in the championship. So that also depends on who's your club director, how your teams are looking, and things like that. So traveling, you could go. I know I went to Kansas. I've been to Dallas, local things, Dallas, Austin, things of that. So it always depends. At Vegas, it's always a big tournament in Vegas. So it always depends on what your club facility wants to do. And those are good questions. The questions that I'm giving y'all should be the questions that you should be asking the club director, the coaches, and things like that, because you always want a good fit going into club volleyball. If you're spending that much money, you want to feel like you're at home, because depending on how long you will be playing club volleyball, you want it to be your second home. So I definitely think that the questions that I ask should be the questions you write down and go take them to your director and see different clubs and where you want to put your money into. So exposure-wise, yes, you do get exposure, especially if you are going to those big tournaments. Like I said, the Vegas tournament is huge, and then the Atlanta tournament is huge also. All the recruits are usually there because of the time being that they're usually on break with their college. So those are really, really big tournaments, and there's a couple more too. So is it worth it? Yes, I do believe club volleyball is worth it, but I would not harp about it. If you are not financially stable or you just don't have the time to play club volleyball, I don't think it's a big issue. It's just more time consuming reaching out to coaches and trying to get your name out to coaches rather on being on the club volleyball market. They can just come and see. So it's a win-win, lose-lose situation. I play club volleyball simply because I started off late into volleyball. So I started off when I was 13. So that is considered late in the club volleyball world. Many girls are starting off in the 4th grade, which I will go into that too. So many girls start off in developmental volleyball, which usually range from 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Once you hit 6th, 7th, and 8th, you're on the competition level and you're getting out and you're trying to get your name out into the little circuit with the coaches. Yeah, it starts off that young, just like AAU basketball. It's like basically the same thing like that. So you're trying to get that exposure. So being worth it, getting your name out, making it a little bit more easier, yes, I would say do it. But I would not necessarily say you have to do it. It is not a necessity at all. You can get your name out to coaches all on your own without playing club volleyball, which is using your maybe high school film that you don't have to pay for high school. Maybe using your, high school film. You're not going to go back to middle school. They don't care about that. But yeah, it's a win-win, lose-lose situation. I did it simply because I knew I started out late and I knew I wanted to get in the circuit quick. So I just went on ahead and played club volleyball. Now, me, that's all that's my athletic perspective. Now, my coaching perspective, I currently coach at HBA, Houston Volleyball Academy, and we have several locations. So right now I am a developmental coach. So I get to see the girls from the standpoint of developing them as they get older. So I have 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Now, at times I think, are they really listening to me? Are they taking this home and it's like, Coach Kennedy taught me this? Yeah, well, here's a clip of me at their tournament with them. And we were just playing different games and things like that. We have to keep it fun, but here it goes.
If we already serve and we step in this line, does it still make us out?
It does make you out. You have to make sure that you step behind the black line. You can't start in front, behind the black line and step in front, yes? You gotta make sure if you want to step, you gotta start further back so that when you step, you're still behind the black line.
So, development of volleyball, if you have that extra change in your pocket, I say you should do it just because life and learning things is all about repetition. So when they get out there, yes, they're having fun, but it's repetitive movement, repetitive things that you're telling them, repetitive, oh, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. So it is a plus because they do get a kickstart in learning, skills, drills, terms of volleyball. But I didn't start off with that, and I'm perfectly fine. I currently play at Texas Southern University, and my freshman year I played at Dillon University. So it's whatever. It's personal choice, I believe, but it does benefit in a way because you're learning how to socialize. It's so much more than volleyball. But we'll get into that on the second episode of Koachathletekynn.